With me in the studio tonight for Rock Arena is Blackie Lawless, bass guitarist and singer with WASP. Hi Blackie.
Howdy.
What brings you to the country?
Promotion. Selling my wares, so to speak.
The band isn't here with you, you're here by yourself?
No, I think the other three lads are somewhere soaking up the California sunshine in some drunken stupor somewhere in Los Angeles, actually.
Right, well, so when this promotion or tour is over, when do you plan to come back with the band?
We are starting a Japanese tour starting February 6th, and we will be touring Japan for about 12 days. At that point, we plan on swinging down here under us, so to speak, as you say.
You've been to Japan before, though?
Oh, yeah, we've been to Japan.
Yeah.
But the band hasn't been to Australia yet. As a matter of fact, this is my first time here.
You've just released a second album, The Last Command.
The Last Command.
Tell me something about the album.
It's a unique departure from what we did on the first one. The first one, we did a very raw sounding album. There's a lot of energy, and you can say what you want to about the record. You can either like it or you don't, but whenever you pull that record out of the jacket, I mean, it's dripping with energy, and that's really good, and I like that a lot. But contrary to what a lot of people don't understand about me is I'm a big Beatle fanatic, and I've often been asked if you had to be on a desert island, what one album would you take? Well, I'd take the White Album with me, because there's so many diverse things on that. What I wanted to do on this album was try to create that type of feeling. In other words, use as many different instruments as we could. I played like 14 different instruments on this album, and there's a lot of things going on this record. And the problem with heavy rock is that they put the guitars right up in your face, and that's fine, but you don't get much dimension. And what we did is we put synthesizers on the album. We tried to make them sound as much like guitars as we could, and because it's an electronic instrument, it's never going to sound the same. But what we did is we put the guitar up in your face, but we put the synthesizers behind it, and we use this thing called stereo panning, which is the balance, which takes it from right to left, and it creates a fishtail type of effect on the guitar, which gives it an unusual sound. And we put little things off in the corners, so it's designed to be listened to on stereo headphones. And when you hear this, I mean 5 years from now when you hear this record, you're going to hear things that you never heard before, because it's just loaded with all kinds of little stuff. The problem with heavy rock is that it's at a peak worldwide, which is great, but unless somebody comes along and shows some real imagination, gives it a bit of new life, it's going to go back to where it was a few years ago, which is, it'll never die, but it just won't be as popular as it is right now. And I think it's time that people come along and start using some real imagination and dimension in this type of music and still be heavy at the same time.
Yeah, what is it about heavy rock or heavy metal music that makes it so popular?
You're dealing with adolescence, and adolescence is painful at best. The way WASP convey themselves to an audience is you've got angry people playing angry music for an angry audience. And what I mean by that is I sit here in the studio with you and I'm very calm or whatever, or as best I can be. And they've actually got a chain tied to this chair, so she looks very safe sitting there. But WASP were basically four very angry people, and what I mean by that is not that you was psychopaths or anything like that. I can sit in 5 o'clock traffic and get angry at the same thing anybody else can. But the thing is, I'll take my frustrations out on a stage and vent them there. And the object is, when we go on a stage, is to beat an audience's brains out. Now, when you take that type of energy and you push it off into a crowd that's already feeling that, you've got a very volatile situation, because 14, 15 years old, like I said, adolescence is painful at best. You put a heavy dose of hostility in there, and that's a lethal combination. That's the reason rock and roll t-shirts work so well, because you've got this splash all over your chest. And it's this type image that usually, in one way or another, is aggressive, that in so many words means, don't tread on me.
It's a statement.
Exactly. In other words, you've announced your feelings when you walk into a room before you ever open your mouth. So as long as there's somebody gouging the young people of any country that you go to, there's going to be a market for music like this, especially when you got people that interpret it the way we do.
Yeah. Look, I've never seen you perform. You haven't been to this country as yet. Fine. But tell me about your past stage act where you used raw meat and blood and all those sorts of things. How did you incorporate that into the act?
We were doing, when we first got together, we were doing a type of material called psychodrama, or a type of theater called psychodrama, which I've since been told is psychotic people doing drama. But It was designed to be played to very intimate type theater where you got the audience literally involved, and what we did is we used the meat and things like that to literally get them involved. It was like going to a cricket match or a baseball game. You didn't even fall asleep for fear you get hit with a foul ball, you know. So it was designed to get them as in touch as we could. Now that was designed to be played to 3,000 seats or less. Now we've moved on to 10, 15,000 seat arenas, and the show has changed. So what we did is we traded in the psychodrama for a more elaborate stage set. So what we did before is that was in the past. The meat's gone, the blood's gone, all those things are gone. And I know some people are going to be disappointed when they hear that, but one thing I want people to remember is that we started doing this originally. We started doing it because we wanted to, not because we thought, you know, we could make a quick buck with it or something like that. We started out as studio musicians. When we got out of the studio, we wanted the most intense form of expression that we could find, because we were like animals that had been cooped up into a cage. And so when we got out, we did that originally. Then we went on to a bigger stage set. Like I said, I want people to understand that WASP will always be outrageous, just a different kind of outrageous every year. I mean, I know some people are disappointed with that when they hear that we're not doing what we did before, but that's on video cassette. And if you want to see the old show, go look at the cassette. You know, I mean, every year it should change, I think. I don't want to become boring to myself.
Blackie, thanks for coming in.
Bye-bye.